video to the GVU. So today, as usual, we'll be having some update conversations. We'll be talking about VxRail 80100, which was just released last week. And following quickly on the heels of that 80100 was VCF 5 with 80100. So VCF running on VxRail, utilizing that 80100. We'll probably close out with some conversation around DTW, Dell Technologies world, and some of the announcements that took place there. Joined with me today, we have Ben Meyer. Ben, good morning, good afternoon, good day. I know you're in Dubai, enjoying the sunshine. Actually, what time is it over there? It's kind of late, right?
Yeah, 5 p.m., so it's not too late.
Oh, it's 5 p.m. So you still got good sunshine for quite some time, right?
Exactly.
All right, guys. So let's kick it off. So 80100, that was a pretty solid release from last week, right, Ben?
Yeah, sure, Curtis. So as you said, it's been a busy time in the VxRail space. So we had the VxRail 80100 release, which brings a lot of features that we had in the 7 release train. So we have as well the VxRail 80 update 1 and a lot of the features that we had in VxRail 7. So we have dynamic node support, including the LCM for PowerStore that we already had in the 7 train, dynamic node support for PowerMax, new models, and a lot of LCM enhancements that we're bringing now into it as well. And from a pure vSphere perspective, we have vSphere version 8 update 1A. So I think that is very great for customers who want to jump onto the version 8 now.
Yeah, and there's also, if I remember correctly, some ATI mesh enhancements with 80100, right? With update 1.
Exactly, correct. Yeah. So there's support for OSA stretch cluster.
Yes.
And for ESA non-stretch cluster.
Right, and the ESA component is a big one because a lot of people were clamoring for being able to utilize ATI mesh with ESA, and it wasn't available until this release. So that's a nice release there for non-stretch clusters configurations.
Yeah, for sure.
The ATI mesh configuration or support for vSAN OSA, that now allows you to share storage from a stretch clustered vSAN cluster to another cluster to utilize that storage. So very much so beneficial. And I think there's one additional one for support for cross vCenter remote data stores. In the past, you had to be on the same vCenter in order to utilize ATI mesh. So now with this release, you have the ability to be on separate vCenters. I'm sure there's some configuration requirements that are going to need to take place there to be able to utilize an ATI mesh. So those are some big benefits of 80100. Probably following quickly on that, I mean, do you have, let's talk about 80100 or vSphere 8 for a minute. In your conversations you've had with customers and colleagues and the field, have you had a lot of conversation around 80100, whether it be OSA or ESA?
Yeah, I think a lot of our customers, they waited for the update 1 release to jump on the vSphere 8 train. So I think first of all, this was probably a big kind of ask from customers, and there were typically a lot of customers are waiting from a vSphere perspective update 1. So I think customers are now looking at the transition from the 7 to 8 release. And then, as you said, yeah, I think the ESA support for HCI mesh as well is another big factor where customers were potentially waiting for.
Yeah, I'm seeing the same thing here. Conversations have definitely been picking up, asking for HCI mesh, asking for, of course, the biggest ask is always how can we migrate easily from OSA to ESA? I mean, right. As of today, there is no easy button, right? You have to have both ESA and OSA deployed independently. Maybe have a centralized vCenter and migrate your workloads from the OSA to the ESA configuration. So, right. Good conversation there. Following on the heels of 80100 from last week, just yesterday, June 22nd, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, yesterday, we released VCF 5 on VxRail running 80100. Can you tell us a little bit about what enhancements are in VCF 5?
Yeah, sure. So VCF 5, as I said, includes the 80100 release. So again, I think it ties back into for customers who want to adopt vSphere 8. Then we have a direct upgrade support from all VCF versions starting version 4.3 or higher. So this will be a seamless upgrade for customers who want to upgrade. So there's no issues with running into some upgrade issues or some stops.
Okay, let me hit pause right there, because that's going to be a big one and a big, like, light bulb for many customers. You just said, and I'm gonna repeat what you said. It's a easy upgrade or a clean upgrade from VCF 4.3 to VCF 5. You didn't say migration.
Right.
Said upgrade. So this is going to be different than what we experienced, or what many of our customers unfortunately had to experience going from VCF 3 to VCF 4, correct?
Exactly. That's right. Yeah. And I think another thing that ties back into it, now I believe we also support like flexible versions on workload domains. Maybe
Yes.
Can you outline it a bit?
Yeah, so the flexible workload target versions, that gives our customers the ability to upgrade the management version, the management cluster to a certain version, the latest version, for example, 8.0.100, and then have the workload domains not necessarily go to the exact same version. So this gives our customers the ability to run legacy applications that may be not ready for vSphere 8 or the capabilities of vSphere 8 and vSAN 8, and keep those at the older versions so that they can run their clusters with disparate versioning across the different workload domains.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I think that's a big win for customers.
It is. I mean, in the past we were kind of able to do that, but now it's official.
Right.
Also,
okay, cool.
What else do we have?
Yeah, I think obviously the big thing is Dell Technologies World. So
yeah, right. I mentioned that in my intro, and I just totally blanked out on it. So Dell Technologies World.
We saw a lot of announcements, and especially for VxRail customers, maybe the Apex Cloud platform is probably the most interesting ones. Do you maybe want to give a quick overview on what's entailed?
So, man, there were so many different announcements at DTW in regards to Apex, in regards to block and file. Apex block and file for AWS was announced. Apex block for Azure. Apex protection storage for public cloud, which is basically a rebranding of an existing DPS suite, right? Something that we already had. We introduced Apex Navigator for multi-cloud storage. So that's Apex Navigator for multi-cloud storage. Think of that as that's going to be like the control plane across on-premise and cloud-based storage. We also announced Apex Navigator for Kubernetes. So that's not quite what you may think it is, because I just told you about Apex Navigator for multi-cloud storage, where Apex Navigator for Kubernetes is more for our CSI and our CSM drivers, right, through the Kubernetes interface. Then,
so it's like an easy way for customers to deploy the CSI across like hundreds of clusters to have a SaaS-based portal to it. So I think that's quite cool. Yeah.
Yes, it is very cool. So, I mean, that's a lot of announcements on the storage side of the house. And then, of course, we have the Apex Cloud platforms, which are, we announce things in our cloud to ground platform configuration. So maybe it might, it might be important that if we take a step back and just kind of make sure our audience understands our Apex strategy from a ground to cloud and our cloud to ground approach. You think you can give a quick 30-second blurb on that?
Yeah, sure. I think, as you mentioned, the ground to cloud is basically the idea that we take what is currently in the data center, like the storage layer, and bring it to the cloud. For example, what you mentioned, the block storage, which gives the opportunity for customers to replicate data from an on-premise storage array directly to the cloud. And they can use it in their use cases, or obviously as well to consume directly from, for example, EC2 instances in the cloud.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously the ground to cloud is kind of the other way around. So you can have, for example, like SaaS applications, like for example, you mentioned the Navigator. So you have a SaaS portal that is then controlling all of your Kubernetes clusters on premises, for example.
Gotcha. So in the cloud to ground side of the house, we have three big announcements, right? We have ACP, Apex Cloud Platform for Azure, Apex Cloud Platform for OpenShift, and Apex Cloud Platform for VMware. if I'm not mistaken, I believe you wrote a blog in regards to these, right? Just kind of
Yeah,
touching
exactly.
on. So
Yeah,
why don't you tell us what you kind of wrote about and point out some things in each one of those.
yeah, sure. We'll put the link to the blog into the description of the video. But I guess the idea, especially for customers who already know VxRail, is to kind of broaden out the idea what we do with VxRail and bring it to other ecosystems. So there's an announcement for Azure, for OpenShift, and then a new VMware platform. And it's a similar idea to VxRail, that there's a fully integrated system that has built-in lifecycle management, that is validated, that is easy deployable, where you have a single touch point from a support perspective, and as well that works in a hybrid fashion. Okay, so you can have some sort of a you can run instances in the cloud and as well on premises. And under the banner of the Apex cloud platform, we provide a consistent management for all of those different workload types.
Gotcha. Awesome. And then lastly, also introduced was Apex Compute, which is bare metal as a service, right? Of course,
Correct.
Not to be confused as like the hyperscalers compute as a service. It's just bare metal as a service. And then lastly, we also, I believe, introduced PC as a service. So, I mean, there were quite a few announcements, right? A lot of information, a lot of excitement, probably the most announcements I believe I've ever seen at DTW at any given time. Now, granted,
sure.
not all these announcements are available day one, right? Some of these were pre-announcements. So a lot of the Apex Cloud Platform stuff, the Apex Cloud Platform for Azure, OpenShift, and VMware is a future direction, right?
That's correct, yeah.
Other things we touched on at DTW, and we don't really need to get into this heavily, is the expansion of the Apex offerings into more geographies, right? Things such as Apex Private Cloud, Apex Hybrid Cloud, data storage services, they've all been expanded to approximately, if I'm not mistaken, and guys that's watching, don't quote me on this, I believe 26 countries. So huge expansion, huge capabilities and growth for those locations that weren't able to position and sell those solutions before. Now they have the ability to do so.
I think there were really a lot of exciting news, so I think it makes sense to follow up on all of the DTW announcements. And if there's questions, if there are any ask for any of those topics, we can certainly cover them in follow-on videos. Yeah.
Of course, I think I would agree with that. As usual, with that, we're going to plug the comments section down below, right? If anybody that's watching wants us to do any special videos or any special topics, or maybe even have some special guests. If you have suggestions, ideas, please feel free to put it in the comments. You have feedback, please feel free to put it in the comments. We welcome the comments. Of course, give a like, thumbs up. And Ben, I appreciate your time. This was a quick touch on 80100, VCF 5, and running on 80100. And of course, the DTW announcements and all the new things that are coming for Apex. Very quick, very brief. Hopefully those that are watching found some value in this, and we can keep producing these videos moving forward. So Ben, again, thank you for your time today. Our audience, thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned. We will have more come next time.
We see you on the next one. Bye.
Cheers.